And welcome back. So 2022 saw the return of the Scream franchise after an 11-year hiatus following the passing of the series co-creator Wes Craven. The franchise is now being held by the team at Radio Silence, a group that consists of directors Matt Bettinelli Alpin and Tyler Gillette, and producer Chad Villalala. I do have problems. Have you read these guys' names?
2,000 years later.
The franchise is now being helmed by the team at Radio Silence, a group that consists of directors Matt Bettinelli Alpin and Tyler Gillette, and producer Chad Villela. They're responsible for such films as Devil's Due, Southbound, and one of my favorites from 2019, Ready or Not. In all honesty, if you haven't seen Ready or Not, go check it out. It's really awesome. Oh my god, I actually got that out. With the return of the franchise followed box office dollars as a 7th Scream installment was greenlit by Paramount Pictures shortly after the successful release of Scream 6 in January 2023. What is the point of all this? Well, I've been a huge fan of the franchise since the original Scream released in 1996. I'd seen all the films in the theater upon their original release and enjoyed watching the stories of Sidney Prescott, Sam and Tara Carpenter, and their friends, as well as Ghostface running around cutting everybody to ribbons. As a big fan of the series, I have some thoughts and opinions on where the franchise has gone and where it has the potential to go. Let's be honest, we're destined to get more and more sequels, remakes, and reboots of existing IPs anyway, since Hollywood is allergic to original ideas, since audiences appear to only want to watch the same thing over and over and over again because that's what they're paying for. Before we get into this, and to give an idea of where my mind is at, here are my current rankings for the Scream franchise. Gaze upon it in all its glory. Post yours in the comments, if you so wish. Alright, I will be going into spoiler territory regarding the Scream franchise, but more specifically the last 2 films in the series, as it's the current storyline we're following. So if you haven't seen these films or the original 4, I strongly urge you to turn away and return once you have. You have been warned.
Who'd have thought Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father?
Thank you, Mr. Blow the Picture for me.
The first 4 Scream films revolve around Sidney Prescott, who finds herself the target of several serial killers who don the mantle of Ghostface, a 5-and-dime costume usually brandishing a hunting knife. The series also follows recurring legacy characters reporter Gale Weathers, deputy and later sheriff Dewey Riley, and resident geek and film buff Randy Meeks. The killers always have some connection to Sidney, or at least the previous movie's plot, and none of the killers have survived their encounter with Prescott and pals. 25 years after the original events in Woodsboro, California, we have Scream 5, where we meet siblings Samantha, aka Sam, and Tara Carpenter. Tara finds herself a victim of a new Ghostface, who is now a pop culture icon as a result of the popular Stab franchise, which is a series of movies based on the Woodsboro murders of the past 2.5 decades. Unlike previous opening scene characters in Scream films, Tara survives the attack, which brings her estranged sister Sam back to Woodsboro along with her boyfriend Richie. Sam discovered at age 13 that her biological father is none other than the OG Ghostface, Billy Loomis. She takes antipsychotic medications but still gets hallucinations of her long-dead father talking to her. We're also introduced to Tara's friends, including the Meeks Martin twins, Mindy and Chad, who also happen to be the niece and nephew of the late Randy Meeks, who met his end in Scream 2. Long story short, legacy characters return, new film rules are introduced, and we hit the 3rd act where the killers are revealed to be Tara's BFF Amber Freeman and Sam's boyfriend Richie Kirch, because you cannot ever trust the love interest. As with previous Ghostface killers, neither are successful in their goal as Sam kills Richie, and Amber is dispatched by a returning Sidney and Gale. Ultimately, Sam and Tara, along with Mindy and Chad, and our legacy characters, minus Dewey, R.I.P., live to scream another day. See what I did there. Fast forward to Scream 6 as our characters leave Woodsboro and head to the Big Apple, where Tara, Mindy, and Chad are enrolled in a college with Sam tagging along. A series of killings begin which appear to be linked to Ghostface and the Woodsboro murders, as the police find the masks of all previous Ghostface killers at the crime scenes, beginning with Richie Kirsch, one of the killers from Scream 5. The film also sees the return of legacy characters Gale Weathers and Kirby Reed, one of the supposed victims from Scream 4. New characters include Sam and Tara's roommate Quinn, as well as her father, Detective Bailey, Chad's new roommate Ethan, and the mysterious hunky boy across the way, Danny. We go through the motions of a Scream film, red herrings are thrown around, people are killed, and new rules are released. We find that the killers are none other than Detective Bailey, Quinn, and Ethan, who turn out to be the family of Richie Kirsch, and are looking for some sweet, sweet vengeance on Sam and Tara for what they did to Richie. They don't succeed, as the Ghostface killers usually don't, and Sam and Tara, as well as Mindy and Chad, aka the Core 4, survive another film awaiting the release of Scream 7, where we'll likely get more of the same? Here's what I'm ultimately getting at. The Scream films will continue, but at what point does it get old? When is this series and formula going to get too stale and formulaic? That's why I have some opinions and suggestions to the Radio Silence team on how to proceed moving forward using this new cast of characters. Alright, first thing, stop recycling Scream movie plots. Let's be honest, Scream 6 was essentially Scream 2 light. You had the main characters in college outside of Woodsboro, a new love interest, and friends and acquaintances for Sam and Tara, who are obviously going to be one of the killers. Granted, this is the same in every Scream film, and ultimately, the killer was directly related by blood to the previous movie's killer. However, instead of it being the mother and a rando Reddit serial killer, it was a father and his siblings, so there's a lot of connecting pieces to Scream 2. By my count, if they move forward with the soft reboot method, that means that the killer in Scream 7 will either be Sam's mother or a strange stepfather, since the killer in Scream 3 was Sidney's half-brother, a love child from Sidney's mother's time in Hollyweird. Trust me, recycling the same movie in the same order is not what this series needs. It can be better than that. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the opening of Scream 6 had me pumped when Samara Weaving joined the Land of the Dead as the first victim, only to have Ghostface remove his mask to reveal MCU Flash Thompson. Either way, it made me think, were they going to reveal the killer or killers from the get-go? Or were we going to get a fresh new narrative on how a Scream movie is told from a plot standpoint? Will they... Never mind. Damn it. My bottom line, don't be JJ. Come up with something new to add to the series while keeping with the spirit of the Scream franchise thus far. This next take will be very divisive for sure, but I also think it's vital in order to really hammer home that we're in this new storyline and not just retreading the original. Stop with the legacy characters. I mean, we're already 2/3 of the way there with Dewey being dead and Sidney not returning due to budgetary reasons, which is its own other can of worms. Well, Gail survived to write another book, but does she really need to return? We're 2 movies into a series revolving around Sam and Tara Carpenter, and the baton has been passed on as of Scream 5. There's no reason to keep Sidney or Gail around any longer from a story standpoint, unless you intend on making them one of the killers, which would make absolutely 0 sense in the grand scheme of things. It would make 0 sense, less than 0 sense. Paramount has already proven that they can have a successful film franchise without the OG Final Girl Sidney Prescott, so any further films featuring her would be fan service at best. And next I have kill off 1 or more of the Core 4. We're 2 movies into this series, and we already know who are the least expendable for now. Mindy is Randy 2.0, and Chad is easily Dewey 2.0 just from a being stabbed repeatedly and surviving standpoint. He's a human pincushion. As a side, people die from stab wounds all the time, and yet everybody is getting stabbed relentlessly and live to tell the tale in these newer movies. I'm sorry, but Chad should be dead as dicks by this point, especially after the bloodletting in Scream 2. He had 2 Ghostface stabbing him simultaneously. I mean, in order to make the future films seem to have some sort of weight or fear of what's to come, you need to kill 1 or more of the Core 4. This will lift the veil of safety and will also raise the tension to really keep the audience on their toes. Keeping them all alive doesn't do the overarching plot any favors, and it just becomes too formulaic and stale over sequel after sequel after sequel. And lastly, make Sam Ghostface. We've been exploring her psyche and mental state since Scream 5, and as my buddy Mackie noticed while watching Scream 6, it looks like Sam is about to turn heel on us. For the non-wrestling watchers out there, a heel is a name for a bad guy in the wrestling world. Babyface is a good guy, so heel turn, he sees her going bad. When she kills Richie in the first film, there's a hint of grim satisfaction as her hallucination of Billy Loomis cheers her on. When she's dispatching the Baileys in Scream 6, she's got a shit-eating grin on her face and is loving every minute. She's definitely turning into her father's daughter, and from the looks of it, it's only going downhill from here. Sam is definitely showing signs of mental instability and a possible donning of the mask in a future installment. Radio silence appears to be laying the groundwork for this, as well as continuing to build that sibling rivalry between Sam and Tara over the former ditching her sister at 18, or how mother hen Sam is acting towards Tara in college instead of letting her live her life. They need to continue down this path and not get pressured by the studios, since Scream is a cash cow bringing in millions at the box office, with fans clamoring for the next installment. Do something that takes risks, something the audiences won't see coming, something that will be a service to the overarching story. The fun of the Scream franchise is not knowing what's going to happen next and keeping you on your toes. I'm sorry, but I call Detective Bailey as one of the killers from Frame 1. Give us something hot, fresh, and tasty for our horror-starved souls. You carry the keys to the kingdoms.
Cover Winkler and bees. You can do it.
So those are my thoughts on how to proceed with the Scream franchise. Do you have some opinions or hot takes to share? Do you agree with my suggestions? Disagree? Do you want to see Sidney Prescott and Gale Weathers return to fight against another brand new character in a future entry? Do you agree that Sam should ultimately follow in her father's footsteps and don the mask and cloak of Ghostface? Let me know down in the comments. As always, stay tuned for future videos and let me know if there's a series or franchise you'd like to see MEP and company explore. We just might. And as always, thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate it oh so very much, and we will see you next time.